Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's review we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Kingdom Voyager class Cyclonus. Cyclonus here has got to be the figure that I was most anticipating out of all of the first wave of Kingdom figures, as don't get me wrong, I am a huge fan of what Hasbro are doing in terms of the Beast Wars figures, but when given the option between G1 and Beast Wars I am of course always going to opt for G1, and Cyclonus was certainly a character that I have eagerly awaited a more updated representation of. Now I could not contain my excitement, so I have already cracked Cyclonus here out of the packaging. So to very quickly give you a rundown of said packaging, you can see that once again, similarly to Optimus Primal, the majority of this is just made out of cardboard, as this is Hasbro's new strategy in order to try their best to minimize the amount of plastic used on their products. But you can see that we have an amazing image of Cyclonus there in robot mode, as well as here in his jet mode. You can also see that he does appear to be in the same setting that we saw Optimus Primal in. So will he make an appearance in the upcoming Netflix series? I certainly do hope so. You can see that we do have the very small window view display as well as Cyclonus, and as we take a look here towards the side of the packaging, of course we have that tremendous Kingdom artwork, and then flipping around here to the back of the box we have an image of Cyclonus in both robot mode as well as jet mode, and he does indeed transform in a whopping 34 steps. Believe me, you do not get a robot mode and a jet mode that looks this good without having a little bit more of a complex conversion. And then of course, taking a look here at the top of the box, it is merely just the Decepticon insignia. Something which I failed to mention in my Optimus Primal review is that if you actually open the package from the bottom, it does reveal what I believe is an Easter egg for fans, and that is what appears to be the eye of Dinobot with the reflection of a crashing arc. So I am really hoping that not only is this a nod to how the Autobots do actually meet with their Beast Wars counterparts, but is also a potential hint of the rumoured upcoming Titan class arc. I personally would love that. So without further ado, enough about the packaging, let's take a look at Cyclonus himself. Taking a look here at the all new Transformers Kingdom collector's card, luckily I did indeed get a different one when compared to the one that I got with Optimus Primal, and this time round it is Optimus Prime, and you can see that the artwork on that has come out really nicely, and we of course do have that reflective foil over the top. The back of it is the exact same as what we saw on the one that come with Primal, so it is merely just the golden disc. For those of you who do not want spoilers for the upcoming Netflix show, I would recommend skipping ahead, as the reveal that this has, I believe, is potentially a spoiler. So if you just take this foil section here and peel it off, it does reveal what I believe is the alternate universe version of Optimus Prime that was released earlier on in the year, and of course this is Optimus Prime dead. And you can also see that we've got various other members of what I imagine are the Autobots floating around, and this here to me definitely does look a little bit like Teletran 1, so is this perhaps hinting at what we could see from Kingdom or maybe even Earthrise? Who knows until those shows do debut, but it certainly does raise more questions than it does indeed answer. And so here we have the Kingdom Cyclonus, and for those of you who are really looking forward to this figure, believe me, you have every right to do so. This is, in my opinion, one of the best War for Cybertron figures that we have ever gotten. Honestly, it really to me does feel like a scaled down masterpiece, and that's saying something, as for a Voyager class he is incredibly big, almost as big as some of our now modern day leader class figures. Taking a look here firstly at the details, I believe that Hasbro and Takara Tomy have done an exceptional job in capturing the appearance of Cyclonus' head sculpt. You can see that the sculpt work has come out so crisp and precise, and once again, much like we've seen with some of the Studio Series 86 figures, light piping has indeed made its return, and what a fantastic addition it is. You can see that under almost any lighting it really does bring Cyclonus to life, and I just love the attention to detail that we have got going on there for the faceplate. You can see that the sculpt work as well as the definition there to the mouth, the cheekbones as well as the nose have come out so nicely. We also do have his very bunny rabbit-esque ears at the top. Perhaps Cyclonus wants to model for Playboy after he's done serving Galvatron, but it certainly to me does look very accurate to what we see in both the 86 movie and the show. As we take a look here down to the lower torso, once again very streamlined and elegant, which to me really does seem like the theme that Hasbro wanted to desperately push with this figure, as when we did see this on the Kingdom live stream where they did some of the reveals, I do remember the designer specifically stating how clean and elegant they'd actually managed to get both robot mode and jet mode, and what a fantastic result. You can see here that he pretty much looks as if he has stepped straight off of the screen and here into my review station. You can see that we've got some really nice details here, especially where the sculpt work is concerned. I love all of the definition here to the lower torso. You can see a mix of silver paint applications as well as this transparent red plastic, and we also do get this transparent orange plastic. As we take a look here at the arms, once again these two are also incredibly streamlined in terms of their design. As we just take a look here at a side perspective, very elegant in terms of their overall appearance. I really do believe that the engineering on this figure is a pinnacle for the War for Cybertron. Really such a fantastic figure I have seen some complain in regards to the colour scheme of the character, especially in regards to the mismatch of purple plastic here for the forearms and for the rest of the body. However, I have indeed gone back and checked, and in the actual show, he did have a much darker colour scheme here for the forearms than he did for the rest of the body. My critique with the colour scheme doesn't lay in that at all. I think that that's very accurate. It is merely that when comparing him to the Studio Series Scourge, of which I'll bring out a comparison with later on in the review, his colours do seem a little light, so I'm pretty certain that we may see a toon-accurate Generation Select repaint of this figure down the line, and to be honest with you, there is no way that Hasbro won't find a way to re-release this figure later down the line, as I really do believe they have put so much time and effort into this. As we take a look here for his legs, once again, very in proportion with the rest of the body. You can indeed compress this if you so desire, so you can have it looking a little bit more natural there, or you can extend it. Personally, I prefer extending it, as not only does it allow for a greater range of motion where the articulation is concerned, but it gives him a little bit more in terms of height. You can see that we've got some nice metallic purple highlights here for the knee pads, as well as a darker purple actually in the interior of these. And just taking a look here at the shins, you can see that they are very streamlined in terms of their design, with that same metallic purple here for the toes. Taking a look here at the back of Cyclonus, I mean, what back? There literally is no back at all. This figure is so clean. He's probably one of the cleanest Transformers figures that I have ever collected. Honestly, he's so streamlined, and once again, there is barely no hollow spaces on this figure whatsoever, besides these cavities here, which are indeed integral to transformation. As we take a look here at articulation, once again, this figure continues to surprise us. So we do get a ball joint here at the head, which can look left to right, as well as up and down. However, we can also utilize a neck hinge, that when utilizing both the head and the neck, you are able to get a fantastic range of motion. You can get Cyclonus looking down upon his victims, or you can indeed get him to look up. We can, of course, tilt this side to side and tilt it up at an angle. So the head articulation, in my opinion, is flawless. The arms can do the full 360 rotation at ease. They can, of course, hinge out to the sides, and I love how they've added this extra layer of detail here, just so that it doesn't look as if though the arm has clean cut, and it definitely does look very integral to the rest of the sculpt. We do get full 360 rotation here at the bicep, as well as a 90-degree bend here at the elbow, full 360-degree rotation here at the wrists, as well as a full 360 here at the waist. We do get hinge joints here at the legs, which can kick forwards that far as well as back to that far. He can, of course, do the splits, full 360 rotation here at the thigh, as well as a double joint here at the knee due to the nature of the transformation, and you can see how that can kick past 90. And then taking a look here at the foot, due to transformation, this can pivot forwards and backwards, and of course we have the signature War for Cybertron Trilogy ankle rocker pivot joint. So overall, in terms of articulation, in terms of the overall sculpt and paintwork, this for me is definitely a flawless figure. I really have nothing to complain about with this figure, besides a very minor nitpick that his colours are nowhere near as dark as what we got in the actual animation. Now, taking a look at the one and only accessory that Cyclonus does indeed include, of course we do get here his blaster, and once again the sculpt work is just absolutely fantastic on this, and this has been cast in a purple plastic and has been completely decked out in this amazing metallic silver. So for sure, an awesome weapon to complement an awesome figure. Honestly, I'm just more or less speechless with this figure. If you have the opportunity to pick this figure up out of all of the Kingdom releases, then I would say 100% go for it. He is for sure one of the best figures I have handled this year. And here for an 86 movie size comparison, we have our new Kingdom Cyclonus compared next to the 86 movie Voyager class Scourge. And once again, I think that the scale here works perfectly, and these in my opinion are the best representations of Galvatron's army so far. I think that these are exceptional releases, but it is really here that you can see in what I was mentioning earlier on in regards to the colour scheme. I think that perhaps Cyclonus should be a little darker in order to better match the colour scheme that we got with Scourge. I'm pretty sure that they were more or less the exact same colour in the show. Of course, he was a little bit more purple, whereas Scourge was of course more blue, but the colour scheme I believe here should definitely be a little darker. But overall, I think that these two figures here scale really nicely, and I'm just so looking forward to the upcoming rumoured leader class Kingdom Galvatron. For another 86 movie size comparison, here we have the 86 Studio Series Hot Rod, and once again, I think that the scale between these two characters, if he can just stand, works really well. You can see that these two are both Voyagers, and Cyclonus absolutely towers over both of them. And for a War for Cybertron Trilogy leader class size comparison, here we have him next to Ultra Magnus, and this was certainly where I knew straight away that the scale was more or less perfect, as of course, who can forget the feud between Cyclonus and Ultra Magnus? I'll never forget when Cyclonus did smash Ultra Magnus through a wall, and I think that this was certainly the scale that we did get in that shot. So once again, a very good Voyager, and I certainly do believe that you are getting your bang for your buck. And when we do get that leader class Earth mode Ultra Magnus, I think that these are going to be an amazing pair. Now, getting down to the transformation of Cyclonus, as mentioned when we were taking a look at the packaging, this figure does transform in over 30 steps, so he is for sure on the more complex side. However, I've got to say that out of all of the conversions that I've found for the War for Cybertron trilogy, Cyclonus here certainly feels like one of the more sophisticated ones, and a figure that would perhaps better match what we've seen from some of the 86 Studio Series figures. So to begin with, what you want to do is just straighten out the arms here. You're going to want to take the fist, lift this section here forwards, and then rotate this here all the way around. We can then just take this and collapse that back into the cavity. Of course, repeat the exact same process here on this side, so just hinge that in and snap that into place. If you were so inclined, you could add some blast effects there and have these as almost blasters for Cyclonus. Certainly anything is possible with the War for Cybertron. What I then like to do is take these sections here and just hinge those out to the sides. Of course, repeat the same process here on the opposite side. What we can then do is turn our attention here to the back, fold out these flaps here on both sides. We then want to utilize this double hinge joint. So first of all, you're going to want to click this forward and then hinge this section here all the way out until this does snap into place and will rest seamlessly along the shoulder section. With that now done, we can take this tab and peg it into the forearm. So just clip that in there, and of course repeat the exact same process here on the opposite side. So just align that up, snap that nice and securely into place. What I then like to do is take these two pieces and hinge them back. And before I actually do this, I want to show you something. This here is indeed a molded in colored piece of plastic, whereas these two sections here and here are indeed painted. And here is just a prime example of how much attention Hasbro put into this, as the color match is pretty much spot on. Honestly, if it wasn't for a tiny chip that I do have there, I would never have noticed that this here was indeed painted. So once again, another great job on Hasbro's part. We then want to take the arms here and just disengage those and hinge those back. You're then going to want to take this entire section here and hinge this all the way down like so. We can then take the chest piece, also hinge this section out, as we're going to take this here and flip this all the way around. What we can then do is open this up, and then this front nose cone here will come out, and then we'll lift this up and snap that into place, and then take this section here, and we also have another tip of the nose cone buried away, and just fold that out. Exquisite engineering here. You can see all of this compacts and folds into this tiny little cavity here. Just absolutely exceptional in my eyes. You're then going to want to take this and clip that nice and securely into place. We can then bring this section here down, and you're going to want to bring these pieces up on both of the joints in order to allow for some clearance, so that we can rotate the entire cockpit so that the cockpit is now in sync here with the nose cone. We can then turn our attention here to the back of the legs, and very similarly to the War for Cybertron Soundwave, you're going to want to open up this cavity here, fold this section here out, and then just take the feet and tuck those in there. Of course, snap that nice and securely into place. Repeat the exact same process here for the opposite side. So just clip that in there, bring this section here down, and then it's just a matter of compressing these double joints into the hollow gap that we have here for the legs. So just follow that through until it does rest there like so. Of course, come here to this side and repeat the exact same process. So just compress this here all the way in, and then just snap that in there also. Of course, just ensure that everything is aligned up appropriately. This huge tab will peg into the slot on the back section of the cockpit, so just snap that in there nice and securely. We can then take the arms here, rotate these here to the back. Of course, repeat the same process, utilize the double hinge joints, bring these sections here down, and now it is more or less just a matter of pegging this tab into this hollow space here. So just snap that nice and securely into place, ensuring that everything is aligned. Unfortunately for me, I am unable to get these here to sit flush with the main body, and that really is probably my major critique here with jet mode. I'm not entirely sure as to whether or not this was intentional. I have gone back and actually looked at some images of Cyclonus in his jet mode, and I can't really tell as to whether or not he did have these sections that did slightly stick out, but that certainly for me at the moment is a cause for concern. We can then flip here to the underside and just take these sections and deploy landing gear. Once again, another piece of evidence that Hasbro did put their utmost best into ensuring this figure was amazing. And then just flip this section here out, and here we have Cyclonus fully transformed up into his incredibly elegant and streamlined looking jet mode. And so taking a look here at Cyclonus in his jet mode, honestly I am constantly told that I am very quick to praise Hasbro products when really they're not all that great. However, if there was one figure that I would not be guilty of overpraising, it has got to be the Kingdom Cyclonus. Honestly, I think that this may even be the best War for Cybertron figure that I have reviewed throughout 2020 so far, and there has been some whoppers, and this figure here may even top the Titan class Scorponok of being my favourite War for Cybertron figure of all time. Taking a look here at Cyclonus in his jet mode, much like the designers had pointed out, this figure is so tightly compact. There really is no excess robot mode kibble. You can see, I'll very quickly just show you them. He does have some landing gear, so a pair here at the back and then one single one here. Of course they don't roll, but it is still a really nice attention to detail. Personally, I do like to collapse those just to keep it a little bit more coherent and clean on the underside of the jet, but you can see there pretty much no excess kibble whatsoever, and from a bird's eye perspective it looks amazing. You can see here for the cockpit we've got all of these individually sculpted strands over the top in order to give you the illusion that this is indeed a spacecraft. We of course have got the fantastic orange transparent plastic, and as we take a look here at the nose cone, I am in love with the variety of paint applications that we do have. We of course do have the metallic purple that we saw in the robot mode here for the nose cone, and I think that there has come out so nicely. We also do have a mix there of some silver as well as the lighter shade of purple plastic, and then finally as we take a look here at the nose cone, this is indeed just a grey piece of plastic, but the colour of plastic used here is definitely pretty close to the colour of silver paint that they have used. As we take a look here for the wings, you can once again see some fantastic panel lining detail as well as that purple paint application, and as we take a look here towards the top, he's just completely decked out with surface detail. Really a fantastic looking figure. You've also got the thrusters here at the back, and these definitely do look very authentic. And just taking a look here at the back of Cyclonus, once again a very clean looking jet. You may even be able to snap this in a little closer to the body like so. You can see that we do have 4 5mm ports, so you can of course apply any blast effects that you so desire. So overall there really isn't much else I can say other than that this is an amazing looking jet mode. As far as weapon storage is concerned, you can take the blaster here and just snap that in here at the top, and for the most part I don't think that it looks too bad. It's nothing that we haven't seen before in regards to weapon storage on a jet, and I'm pretty sure that we will see this form of weapon storage in the future. I'm just really unsure as to whether or not these gaps here were intentional. If they weren't, then that is definitely a little bit of a drawback, as I think this could have been such a coherent jet if they could have just come slightly closer into the body. But once again, a fantastic looking jet mode here for Kingdom Cyclonus. Here for a very quick jet mode size comparison, we have Cyclonus, the warrior, compared here next to Scourge, the tracker. And once again, you can see the significant increase in terms of scale here with our Kingdom Voyager Cyclonus. He absolutely towers over the Voyager class Scourge, which I personally thought was quite a large Voyager for now modern day figures. But this one has certainly taken the cake, and I think it is the largest Voyager figure that we have gotten, possibly since 2012. So for sure, if you're looking for one figure in Kingdom and you want the most bang for your buck, this figure is the way to go. And so, some final thoughts. Honestly, there isn't anything else that I can say that I haven't already mentioned in the review. I think that it is a fantastic figure, literally almost perfect. I'd say this figure is maybe 98%, 99% perfect. There are only 2 areas of critique that I have of this release, and both of them are very minimal. The first is in regards to the colour scheme. I maybe would have liked it if they could have opted for a slightly darker colour scheme in order to better match his appearance from the 86 movie / his appearance in the G1 show. However, I'm pretty sure this may be accurate to how he will appear in the Netflix series, and I'm almost certain that we are going to get this figure later down the line in toon accurate colours. The second minor critique that I do have is in regards to his jet mode and some of the panels not lining up appropriately. Now that may have been intentional, but to me I think that it was maybe a miscalculation, as it definitely looks as if though they should be tighter into the body. But setting those critiques off to the side, I think that the robot mode is absolutely impeccable. It is so clean that it is literally unbelievable, and you wouldn't even know that this figure could transform into a jet. He's very well articulated. The plastic feels so high grade, almost as good as it used to in the old 2010 era of figures. I think that he comes with an awesome accessory, that being his blaster, and that too has been decked out in a really nice silver paint. I think that the colour matching between the paint and the plastic and vice versa on this figure has come out so well as well. So just in all, a really nice figure. Engineering is incredibly sophisticated. For those of you who like your Transformers complex, I think that this figure is the perfect balance, and the jet mode, besides the little fault that I do have with it, I also think is fantastic. So in all, if you see him, just pick him up. Don't even hesitate. Literally, buy this figure. I honestly think that he is going to be a must-have for any Transformers collector, and he is for sure my favourite figure out of Kingdom so far. So if I do a ranking video on the Kingdom figures, you'll know that Cyclonus here will be the first one. We of course do have the T-Rex Megatron left to go, so it really will be a toss-up between Megatron and Cyclonus, but just judging by how that figure looks, I personally am not all that impressed. So that just about wraps up my review here for Kingdom Cyclonus. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below on what you think of both the figure and the review. I thank you all so much for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.